New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Good afternoon and welcome. Welcome to Finding the Joy in the Journey. What a gift it is to be here with you today. I am Rev Gina, and I am blessed to be part of this wonderful network at New Thought Media Network. We are here with good news all the time. And the joy is in the journey. And every aspect of life is about recognizing. Oftentimes we get caught up in the everyday stuff, but it's about realizing that we always have a choice. And as, part of the prayer team here, as a minister for CSL Greater Boston, wherever I am, as a life coach, as a mom and a grandmother, the one thing I know is I get a choice and I get a perspective on anything that I face in life. And I choose joy. See, this show came about as a result of my book, Finding the Joy in the Journey. And the whole point of that was, your journey to happiness. At the worst point in my life, I recognized that there were moments of joy, that I would see children playing, and the joy existed. Regardless of what my experience was, joy was there and it was accessible. So it dawned on me at that time, well, if it's at this worst time in my life, it's available to me, then it always is. And ever since then, and honestly, that's probably about almost 20 years ago, I've been on this path of knowing that I get a choice. See, we live in a society that tells us bigger, better, faster, more. The more we do, the better we are. The more we own, the more stuff we have. It's like we win. The true point of life is joy. It's the experience that we have along the way. If you were climbing a mountain, every step of the way is a different view, and every bit of it is beautiful. There are things in your life today that will never be there again. And if we're in such a hurry to be somewhere else, we'll miss it. So every week we come together and I introduce different people that make me smile, that make me amazed with the joy that they have in their life and what they bring to the world. And today I have someone that I consider not just a colleague, but also a friend. I've been working with Kenny Bovell for the past year, and it has been a pleasure. He is a wonderful minister and leader and director of the Spiritual Life Center of Barbados. And that's how I met him. CSL Greater Boston and his center have become quite close and done all kinds of things together. And let me tell you a little bit about him before I bring him in. He was born and raised in Barbados in the Caribbean. And during his work life, he was exposed to personal development training with different organizations. He's an internationally trained instructor in the areas of personal development and effective speaking. He has successfully conducted group and individual trainings of self-development, including human relations, effective speaking, memory improvement, confidence building, worry control, goal setting, and leadership. He is able to give to his customers a different perspective. It's a combined practical perspective of an entrepreneur, a marketing executive, and a trainer. You know, he does run this amazing center, Spiritual Life Center of Barbados, and the people that are in it, just their consciousness is beautiful. He brings a unique style and personal creativity to the understanding of life. Very keen instructor and currently engages in training for individuals, groups, and corporate teams. His passion is seeing people succeed, especially youth. And he has set his life mission to share all that he has learned in his life to enhance the life of others. And he does that in every, I've only been in the virtual room, but every one that he's in. Welcome, Kenny Bovell. Thank you for being here. What a gift it is to have you here with us today.
Thank you so much, Rev Gina. It is wonderful to join you here on this network. That is really nice of you to have invited me, and I'm certainly pleased to be here.
And you know, there's so much more that I could have gone into, and there's so many different things that you've been trained in. And I love the story of how your life unfolded. And, you know, I always ask all kinds of things. And I know that you were raised in different faith and you ended up eventually into, into these teachings, the religious science teachings. And, you know, there's so much to get into. But I want you to start, if you could, you know, tell us how it is. You know, I love the story. You know, you went to school, you had energy, you were just you, and someone saw it. Because I think they're so important. From the beginning of your life, you started with a great attitude. And that great attitude gifted you many things. So if you can, let people know, what is that? How did you get your start?
Thank you so much, Rev Gina. That's an interesting story because when I left school, I went into what we called at that time in Barbados a small business, and I guess my potential was seen by the manager, James Husbands, at the time, and he enrolled me in the Dale Carnegie course with now deceased Morris Foster and his associate Tom Field. And between Tom and Morris, when I was on the class, they invited me to come back at the conclusion to be trained as a graduate assistant. And then in my training as a graduate assistant, then they both decided that I had the potential to be an instructor. And I didn't see that in myself at all. So I said, well, if you all see it, I can go with that. And, you know, they gave me some training here in Barbados. But then I was sponsored off to Houston in Texas. And I got further training there, then qualified as an instructor, and came back to Barbados then and ran classes with Dale Carnegie. So that was life-changing for me because that training really brought me to who I really was as a person. I mean, I was pretty nice before, but the purpose of living and the intent between yourself and others and interacting with others for mutual benefit, you know, that came home to me very strongly in the training to be an instructor. And then the experiences here really cemented that in me. And from that time on, I just wanted to do more and more for people so that they could experience, as you say, the joy in the journey, yes. much like I was having at the time then, because I really enjoyed my time with Dale Carnegie.
And you ended up having other programs from that as well. You eventually got into emotional intelligence and all kinds of trainings, correct?
That's right. I teamed up just a few years ago. I think it might have been 2019 with the Caribbean Institute for Social and Emotional Learning with Tony Olton. And here again, after the doing the course, I got invited back to be trained as a facilitator. And then I joined a team of facilitators for emotional intelligence in Barbados. And I'm still connected with that group and doing wonderful work here in Barbados. Um, we are just going year to year, having more and more Barbadians exposed, and not only Barbadians actually. We've reached out to the Eastern Caribbean, and we're having more and more citizens from the different islands exposed to emotional intelligence, and already creating tremendous differences with successes and enhancements in their lives. You know.
One of the things that has, when in my, I don't have a lot of experience with it, but the more that we look at ourselves, it shows us what our styles are. There's certain things that we learn a certain way. Every person, every individual has a different way of learning, a different type of communication. Each person is different. And the more we look into different types of personalities and different, what am I good at? What is my learning style? What is my comfort level? It also gives us a different appreciation for others.
Yes.
And I think it's so important that it's not about putting anyone in a category, but it's realizing that there are categories. And
Yes.
that while I may be good at this, I'm not as strong at that. I may be good at communication, but I'm not as, for me, reading is not that's not my way.
Yeah.
But to listen to a lecture, I get a lot out of it. So there's a lot of different types of things that we learn about ourselves along the way, and they can help us to uncover, those jewels within ourselves and
Yes.
appreciate ourselves. Have you had any of those awarenesses for yourself?
Oh yes, tremendous, tremendous awareness. As a facilitator and instructor, one of the major things that you have to come to grips with is leaving your head and getting into the heads of your participants, or if you're dealing with someone one on one, leaving your head and getting into theirs. So it is very important to put ego aside. It's not so much about you anymore, it's about who you're dealing with. And in sales, it's important. It's not that you have the greatest thing to sell, but how is it going to enhance the life of the purchaser, the person you're looking to sell that to. And if you can set up that relationship between yourself and the buyer in sales, you have a much better relationship and you get way closer to customer satisfaction. And then even in social situations, you find if you just care and listen to the individuals you're engaged with, just listen to them a little bit, you learn so much about people, and then you're in a position to ask the right questions to get further information. And then from that information, you can then set in concert with them a program or a project or whatever that would help them, and then they feel so good about you and what you're doing for them, enhancing your life as well and enhancing theirs. So that gives a totally different meaning, I find, to life generally, and brings a lot more satisfaction than if you just engage people from, an egotistical level. Let me see what I can get out of this relationship and so on, much deeper.
And I don't very much. And
Yeah.
I don't think sometimes that we realize that we're thinking of it in an egotistical way. I don't think that most people have that intent. I think what happens is we have a default
Yes.
until we realize that I'm approaching it my way as opposed to a common ground way. I don't know that there's an option. So communication skills are just that, communication skills. And I think where we are today, things have changed. And I think that that's hard sometimes because it was hard enough. Nobody's a mind reader,
Yeah.
but we always had these cues. There's always been these things. You can read someone, the eye contact. You can tell something about their mannerisms. Are they sitting close to you? Are they not? There's all types of things you can learn about someone from just being with them.
That's
And
correct.
nowadays, so much is done online, we miss that.
Yes.
So all of that personal connection, that understanding of each other, we've got filters in the way. And sometimes they're actual filters, and sometimes they're, it's just there's a delay. There's all kinds of things that we don't get to really know people in the same way.
Yeah.
And a lot of communication is also through, text messages or Facebook posts, or finding out through emails. And, it's a very different world than we used to be in.
That's right. And you have these detachments that wouldn't necessarily enhance that social relationship. Now it becomes social media as a result. But that personal touch is now disconnected to a large extent. And we see the fights online, and we see the fights over the different media platforms at the highest level in our governance and so on. We see these fights going on that sometimes I sit back and I say, these are so unnecessary. If only we had a little more emotional intelligence exhibited at that level, we could avoid a lot of these conflicts, And the basic thing is empathy.
Yes.
You listen to the person, not so much to respond, but to understand, so that when you speak from a position of understanding, and then you can work so much better together, and that makes a whole lot of difference.
And in our teaching, we really go back to, oftentimes we go back into that heart space. We
Yes.
want to meet, when we say things like namaste, or when we greet each other, it's really trying to be that place where the Christ in me is seeing the Christ in you, and remembering that.
Yes.
And putting that into practice isn't always as easy. It's not. It's about getting used to doing that. And I just want to mention, we are live, so
Okay.
I want to make sure people know they can ask questions and anything that's on their minds. We'd love to hear comments or questions. Please, by all means, just put them right in the comments section. But we get the opportunity to do things different. And when we are in a better place, when we come from a place of self-care, this
Yes.
past month for CSL, June
Yes.
has been the month of self-care. And when we are nurtured and our cup is full, we go into a conversation in a different place than when we're stressed out.
Well, Reverend Gina, I am so blessed that I boast sometimes that I have found the perfect combination for life. I believe that life should have a very strong, firm foundation, and then a very practical way of going about living that is pleasing to everyone, not only yourself, but those around you as well. And in this spiritual philosophy, this spiritual teaching, and emotional intelligence, I've found the perfect blend. And let me explain quickly why that is so. In the science of mind, the responsibility for your relationship between yourself and God is your responsibility. And if you're going to take that responsibility, it means that your self awareness, your self care, your self projection must be all in order. And emotional intelligence then provides that base from which you can have a greater spiritual experience as a result of taking responsibility for your relationship with God. You see that blend? Perfect.
And it's a perfect culmination. It's remembering to do it. And
Yes.
one of the things, the islands have a very different feel to it. than the US. There's a whole different world, and every person that I've come into contact from your center, anyone that's come to, because we do a lot on the Sacred Circle, and while I'm here, I'm going to do the plug, because we have our Thursday nights, and you're often part of it. So I just want to put that out there. Every Thursday night, we have the Sacred Circle at 7, and it's through CSL Greater Boston. You can go to our Facebook page and get the link anytime. Again, it's every 7 p.m. Eastern time, every Thursday night. And you've led a couple of them as well, which I appreciate. Right. But the depth and the peace is different. The pace is different than what it is in the US.
Yes.
And I love it. Like, I love the depth of what they share, the depth of who they are. It's all beautiful. Yeah. What is it like seeing the world from your point of view? Because I'm sure you notice the difference too when you enter a virtual room and everybody's speaking 100 miles an hour, going in different directions, and even missing each other, like just not hearing each other. What's it like?
The greatest experience I've had in terms of viewing that difference is I realized that in Barbados, and I guess the Caribbean, we don't have socially the many things to distract us from our path. Let me call it that way. In the US, I find there's so many things that you have to cope with. You talk about let me turn on the news this evening. We have one station one station here in Barbados on TV that would give you that news report. You have 1,000 or more, and you get one.
And none of it's
one incident, and you get so many spins on this
one. None of it's good.
You don't know which one to believe. So we get just the news here, or if there's a like a hurricane or something, a storm that's coming, we just get the facts on the storm, not whether it's coming to one side that and it might miss the other, and I prefer it to go to that side and not come this side. No, we just get the facts.
Oh, your island's little.
Yeah.
It's not, if it's coming, it's coming. Thankfully, the last ones have missed completely. We like it that way.
Yeah. We don't have red and blue and all that to cope with. It's just one color. So that's the major difference. The many, and if I could be so bold as to call it distractions, the many distractions that you have that can take you away from your path, your journey, whatever it is. So it requires a stronger awareness of self, a stronger mission statement that, as you pointed out, Rev Gina, and that's the doing part, where you're committed to doing because you've already committed yourself to being, and that self-care takes care of the being part, and after that, then you can set out in this world to do. And like I mentioned before, doing for others brings so much satisfaction, to your life. It's like a mission for the world, a noble goal, as we call it in emotional intelligence.
Everyone has a purpose. Everyone has what they're here to do. And some people find that out very early, and some people, it could be in their 40s or 50s. Some people never feel like they got it. Mm-hmm. But some people never start looking either. So there's something within you that you're good at. And mm-hmm. as a coach, I think there's different ways we can go about it, but we're looking for what is it, not only what lights you up from the inside. Chances are your passion is part of your purpose.
Yes. My first call is my spirituality. I am so comfortable now in this philosophy, in this teaching, where I'm not going around thinking that there's a old grandfather with a book, making marks against my name and so on. But I've got a God now that appreciates me for me and provides everything that I need in this life for my success. It's only for me to be able to come to grips with this fact and for me to follow that dream. So, in terms of lighting up, knowledge gives me my batteries, let me call it that. The more knowledge I have about a subject, the more drive I get towards it. And then the shining is my sharing. So my light comes from my spirituality, and my shining comes from my knowledge, because what you see projected is exactly what I've gained during my life. So that's why I've made my life's mission set on sharing with others what I've been so fortunate to be implemented in my life at different times, but all coming together then as this all wise man, you know. So I'm now in a position, I'm now in a position where I can share, so that the people that I meet don't have to go through all the struggles that I went through, and that I see a number of people still going through. Their solutions, their principles to live by, their understandings of spirituality that you can have at your fingertips to make life so different and so much more revealing to you when you experience what I have gained on this journey, this path to joy, you know.
And I agree. And I think a lot of teachers and coaches, it's been their life experience that's led them there.
Yes.
You know, I've had a lot of grief in different circumstances in my lifetime. And, you know, the way I look at it is, if I can help somebody else through, it wasn't for nothing.
Yes.
You know, and I used to love the term, that which doesn't kill me makes me stronger.
Yes. Yes.
I I don't say that anymore.
Anymore.
And you know, for me, it changes you. You know, I yes, it's wonderful that you make it through. Don't get me wrong, but getting through is automatic.
Mm-hmm.
You wake up in the morning and the calendar changes. But the truth is that, you know, a storm after, you know, a ship after a storm can be barely afloat.
Yeah.
And sometimes we can feel tattered and torn, and we're not going to be the same person that we were before. And we don't have to be. We can use what we've learned and move forward, as long as we honor it and recognize it and reinforce what we need to along the way. And that's where, you know, I think it's important to have coaches and ministers, and it's important to have people that you, even friends and loved ones, counselors, whoever you need to be able to help lift you up when you need it, because it's not if you need it, we all need it. It's just a question of when we need it, and knowing that it's not a weakness to ask, it's a strength.
I get tremendous pleasure out of a thank you at the end of an engagement. A friend might call me and say, I'm having this particular case here, and I thought of you, and I just want to share. I just want to share it with you. I said, sure, go ahead. You know, and then at the end, he would say, well, what would you do? I said, but I am not in this situation. I can't tell you what I would do. You know, you have to know for yourself now what you would do. So I would ask a few questions as to your placement within the situation. What are you looking for further on for your life? And what decisions would you have to make at this time to make sure that you're on that path for what you've set for your life? And at the end, you would hear something like, "Thank you so much." Without giving me any advice, you have just provided me with the greatest advice in the world. You know, whereas I can look at this, see what I want for my life, and decide all on my own what choices I can make to bring about the desired outcomes that I would have. And that's fantastic. That's what I get a real rush out of, that thank you, or a comment that says you've helped me in this particular situation, or just generally. I get such a thrill out of that. And of course, I do the same to others. I might ask for a hearing just on a situation that I might be going through. And then I am always grateful, filled with gratitude at getting some conditioning, some perspective, uh, another way to look at it, and I'm always grateful for that. So it's a two-way thing with me, but I take particular pleasure in assisting others who might be having challenges.
Mm. So tell me, if you would, how did you end up on this spiritual path? Because I know it's not where you started.
Yes, that's so funny because sometimes I get into trouble when I share it. Um, I was born.
There's no wrong answer.
That's
There's
right.
no wrong answer. There is no right or wrong. It's just perfectly you.
That's so true. I was born into the Anglican Church. My parents were Anglican, and I went to the Anglican Church until my early teens, and then my mother didn't particularly like the setup in the Anglican Church, especially with the priest at the time, and she took us then to a Pentecostal church. They had a radio program that was very popular, and she said she prefers to go to uh, this Pentecostal church where the Spirit was more present. So we, as the children, we had to go to the Pentecostal church. But then when I got older, in my later teens, then it was left up to me to decide where I want to go, and I decided I'm going to the beach because I had a lot of unanswered questions about Christianity as a foundation, and I couldn't get answers. People would always say, "Oh, have faith," and I needed a little more to go on than just having faith. So I would go to the beach on Sunday mornings, and I would
Oh, I
just
love it.
I would just jokingly tell people, "Come to my church, and if you think you're big and bad, go under and breathe." That's how powerful my church is. You can breathe underneath. So then I got involved in the carnival in Barbados, which we call Crop Over, and I worked with a number of different artists and artists in producing the Crop Over Festival, which is generally carnival, but it's a cultural festival. And I met a designer there, Robert Weeks. He designed the costumes for the street parade and so on. And when he passed, his mother asked if I would do the eulogy for him, and I accepted. And I asked her to just let me see if there was anything he was reading at the time that I can get a perspective on, where his head was at and so on. And I got this book, Conversations with God, and I started to read and so on, and I couldn't put it down. I had to take a break to do the eulogy, but then I didn't give her back the book. I kept the book and read it right through. And in that book, I found that there was a God with a sense of humor. And
Yes.
that touched me because if there's one thing I like in this life, it is a good laugh. And most of my friends know that. If you do a survey on my friends and say, "What's one thing about you?" "Oh, he just loves to laugh," or he just loves to make us laugh. That's
Well,
one
that's
thing.
part of joy. That's
Yes,
what it's all about.
that's the whole thing. So I then continued having conversations with the chap's mother, and she introduced me then to a meeting that they were having here at Belleville, and um, it wasn't the Spiritual Life Center at the time. It was the Religious Science Organization, and the text obviously would have been Science of Mind. And like all my other training areas, others saw how interested I was in this. And the leader at the time took me under her wing, Nancy St. John, and just gave me some private tutoring on um, the the details of the science of mind. We read it together, and she gave me some explanations and so on. And from embracing that teaching, that philosophy, I felt so comfortable in that. I just had to go further. And as I've shown in other aspects of my life, when I give myself to something, I give my all. And when they nominated me to be president, then I said, okay, if I'm seen in that light, I would try to do my best, and that's what I've been doing. And as you would know, I'm looking to further my studies in the science of mind philosophy, with the intention of being a full-fledged minister. Not only a practitioner, but a full-fledged minister.
Well, through CSL, that's what we're the specifically that's what we're talking about,
Yeah.
because there are different types of ministers, and there's it,
Yes.
and you are already leading this, this center, and it is a beautiful center, and it's amazing to me. I agree with you. When I first heard conversations with God, there was a truth there. Like
Yes.
there was nothing in me, you know. Oftentimes I would read things in different holy books, and it didn't ring true to me. I didn't believe them. And there was nothing about these books, because I got, of course, not just the first one, but then the second one, and then the
Yes.
third one. And as you go on, it's like, you know what, this makes sense. And I felt the same way about Abraham Hicks in his
Yes.
teaching. And again, it's one of those things that it makes absolutely no sense. And yet it rung true to me more than the religion I was raised in.
Right.
And I think that really, when it comes down to it, there's a place of truth within us. And I know that now, is, after going through the teachings, we know that, that joy is an inherent divine quality, that it is spirit within us. It's always available. Same way as that truth is. So it touches a part of us that we recognize, and we want more. And then,
Yes.
okay, well, that makes sense. And we go on to the next thing, and we go on to the next thing. By the time I was actually led to Concordia CSL in Rhode Island. And I had 3 people from different parts of my life say, "You love my church. You need to come on Sunday. You
Okay.
love my." No one had ever said that to me in my life. Nobody ever talked about where they went. No, that was not my experience. Nobody
Yeah.
loved going to there. I'm like, by the third one, and they were different parts of my life. I didn't know they knew each other.
Okay.
By the third person, I'm like, "What time on Sunday?"
Yeah.
And I was hooked from day one. And I on the sign outside, when I opened up the book, when I sat down, and the first words out of the minister's mouth were all, "Welcome home, my child." Welcome home.
Oh.
And when I actually sat in the seat, that's the first thing I heard was, "Welcome home, my child. Welcome home." And that was from within.
Yes.
And I was in tears immediately. Like it was that knowing that I was
Yes.
home. And it was the language of all the books that I had been reading, the movies, the books, all that I had already been doing were
Yes.
right there. So however it is that you're led to truth, it's important to recognize it. And
Yes.
sometimes our life is so busy, we don't make the time for it.
Yeah.
And that's part of filling our cup, is being in that place of really refilling and getting ourselves what we need. And I think there's different ways to do that for different people. Yes, it's the classes, it's the books, it's the actual information, and it's being around like-minded people.
Mhm.
It's I love the picture behind us, the background. I always choose this one because
Okay.
it's the magic of life, and it
Yes.
comes from within us.
Yeah.
And that we get the opportunity to share it with people. So that light from within, through spiritual community and sacred conversation, contemplation, meditation, all of these tools that we have, we get the opportunity to pay attention.
That's right. And the beautiful thing about it is that, as you were alluding to there, it isn't a one size that fits all. It is whatever appeals to you. Because I had read like Neville Goddard before, and we make the comment that it's like swimming in cement sometimes, because that was before my opening up to the teaching. I go back to Neville Goddard now with a different understanding,
And he's from Barbados,
and
right?
he's from Barbados. Yes, yeah. But the writings now appeal to me at a different level, which I didn't have before. So
You didn't know the
you're
language.
never ready until you're ready.
You didn't know the language yet.
No, I didn't.
And that's what it comes down to when it comes to new thought in general. It's
Yeah,
just being open to hearing things and experiencing things differently. And there is no wrong or right. This network, regardless of whatever faith you practice, and that's one of the things I love about new thought is wherever you come from, take it with you.
that's right.
Like there's not this or that. It's all one.
Yeah,
So it's all good. So whatever practices work for you wherever you are, take them with you. They're still your practices. You
that's
don't
right.
have to choose, and there is no wrong. So wherever you are in whatever age you are, I'd love to put out there the question, what do you do? What brings you closer to divine? What are your spiritual tools and practices? We'd love to hear from you. Remember that we are live and would love for you to share with us. And on that note, I just want to put your information up to make sure people know if they want to reach out to you as a coach or if they have questions, they can reach you at this email address. So if anyone wants to reach you after the show, and I'll put it up again in a little bit. I always tell people take a screenshot. If you're watching us on your phone, you can always take a screenshot and have it for later.
Yes, I see this spirituality not so much as a cloak I put on, or something that I have to dress in on a Sunday, or something that I have to show my neighbors or whatever. This is a lifestyle,
Yes.
and every aspect of my life um, can be practiced under this philosophy. Gratitude leads the way in terms of my spiritual practices. I say thanks for everything. Every morning that I wake up and find that I'm still alive, I say thank you, thank you, thank you. Every turn of the day, everything, everything handed to me by someone is a special thank you. Even if I write it after, um, make a gift exchange out of it, or whatever, gratitude leads the way in my life. um, I'm not so much a meditation as a formal meditation person. My life is so active that I find if I take any quiet time and settle down, I go to sleep. so so
I used to feel that way.
I
I'm
don't
not
get
going to
into
lie
the
to you. I used to feel that way.
I don't get into the
It took me
formal.
a long
Yeah.
time to come to a place of being able to meditate.
Yes.
I grew up inner city Boston, and my back porch was Logan Airport, which is
Oh,
constant. So I
yes.
only knew noise,
Yes.
and I really it scared me. I bought every book imaginable. I didn't read them, but I bought them. It was almost like I don't know what I thought osmosis was going to work, but I did everything I could to not try it. And
Yes.
finally, I sat down with an egg timer, and this is years ago before my phone actually had the timer, and I sat down and I did 3 minutes on an egg timer, and it
Mhm.
was excruciating.
Okay.
It was painful. I kept looking at it like it can't be. It's
That be
not
that.
possible now. 3 minutes. I mean, how long can it take? And it's a practice. And now, it's really just taking the time to center. And I
Mhm.
can appreciate 5 minutes. I can appreciate, whether it's 10 minutes or
Okay.
really giving myself, and it's honoring my body to just stop
Mhm.
and be. And I set my alarm so that I don't fall asleep. I'm not going to lie because
Fair.
I often will.
Yes.
And that's okay too because I'm not asleep or I
Yeah.
wouldn't hear the little bell, or guided
Right.
meditations work as well. So I encourage people to try different things. And even if it was uncomfortable or to try different ways, try different things around it. There's different types of meditation also. You don't have to have your eyes closed.
That's one thing that I've discovered, and some of the instructors they tell you to keep your eyes open if it's better for you, and that works for me. Also, a sit-in meditation is better for me than lying flat on my back. I'm just out in seconds. But the sit-in meditation is better for me, and especially if I'm being instructed through,
Yes.
like from some of the meditations you would find on YouTube and so on. I can sit and I can go through them. I can do 10 minutes, but to lie down, no, you got me for 2 minutes.
And the beauty is that even if you feel like you're asleep, you're not. You don't
Mhm.
have to remember what happened for your body to know what happened.
Yes,
Because that little chime wouldn't wake you if you were really asleep.
that's right.
So it's just being aware that it takes what it takes, and everybody's tools are different. But it's
Yes,
finding what works for you because it enhances life.
yeah.
And that's what it's all about, is really being in that place of allowing. And I just want to say, I found somebody said this week that I thought it was just the best thing. I just keep reminding myself. They said negativity can't live in a grateful heart.
Okay.
And I just,
Mm.
I love that.
Yes.
And it's not that I didn't know it. I just love reminding myself of that. Negativity of any kind can't be there when I'm grateful.
Mhm.
So I get to just change the lens. So what do I choose instead? What do I choose instead?
Yeah.
And even if you are in pain, you can let that go and, distract yourself with, well, what are you grateful for? What are the
Yeah.
joys in your life?
That's the beauty about what I've discovered about meditation, because even though I lack the actual practice, I understand um, the meaning for the meditation, and like even intellectually, I can see where we get so connected to our material surroundings that we want to hold on to things and claim them, and then we are so connected to these things we miss the spiritual side. So meditation allows you to release the physical surroundings, even the messages from your senses. You release all that, and it's just between you and your insides, which is where your core resides. And then when you come into alignment or in lockstep with your core, you're in a much better place than to function in that material world, because you're not clinging to the material stuff. And you would find in most of the masters that you would encounter, that ability to let go of the material side of life is an enhancement is in itself, you know.
Yeah. Also, mindfulness. So
Yes.
that's a meditation in itself. And it is being inquisitive and asking your body, what are you telling me? What would you like me to know? How can I best honor you? Thank you. That's one of mine. Is I thank my ankles, I thank my toes, I thank my knees, I thank my body for honoring me when I didn't honor it.
Yes.
It's realizing that, this is a beautiful gift I've been given. And how much did I care for it throughout my life? In
Yes.
what ways? So now I make a conscious practice of caring for and honoring and knowing that, in no way has my body betrayed me. I was
Yes.
the one that didn't honor it along the way. So I can simply ask, what do you want me to know?
Mhm.
Or I can focus on different parts, different organs, different parts of my body, and just send light and love and gratitude. We
Yes.
know that the cells are constantly not just healing, but regenerating.
That's
So
correct.
when we send that light and love, we're creating a new body. We're
Mhm.
honoring and it creating, the beginning of the year, I said, I'm doing a factory reset. That's it. Going back to going back to childhood, factory reset, like the computers.
Rebo-
That's it. I'm starting
Reboot.
over. Exactly. So
Yeah,
it's knowing that we get to choose. The mind does amazing things. It
that's
can
right.
feel anything, and
Yeah.
that's one of the gifts of our teachings, is that awareness. And I have to ask, because I know we've been in this class together for the past a month and a half at this point almost, and I'm wondering, what is it like to be, because I know a lot of your your group is even though they already know, it's starting again. It's going back to the beginning is always the greatest because there's no beginning and there is no end. It's just seeing it through new eyes. Like you said, when you went back to Neville Goddard, you saw things differently. And we're doing the foundations class. So
Okay.
what's it been like to start and see it differently again? And knowing what you know,
Yeah.
just redoing it. What's that experience been like?
The first thing that came to mind was the image of New Thought, where you're asked to always see the open end at the top. It's always open. So in approaching this, I said, let me keep an open mind because I don't know everything in this teaching, and I can always learn from folks like yourself and some of the others that we've met along the way that have already gone through the teaching, that are practitioners and ministers. I can always learn from them. So with an open mind is the approach I take. And just as we would have it, I'm discovering things that I would have read before, but now as a result of how it's put over, I get a new perspective on it that makes perfect sense to me and very comfortable to embrace. So as I go through what I've already read, what I've practiced in some cases, um, I'm having new revelations on the same material because it's presented in a different way, you know. Or somebody might use another analogy that clicks with me, that I didn't see before. And as I've expressed in class, the creative process was one area that I had challenges with, the operation of the soul, and I couldn't see the practical sense of the soul within my manifestation. And lo and behold, on this class, I realized that the soul is the law. It's whatever is has been planted in the subconscious for all the time that you've been in existence, which you bring to bear on anything that you want to achieve. So you can then control, um, as the analogy would have it, when you plant the seed, you can then control the environment with the soil and the um, the amount of water and the fertilizer and so on that you add to it, which will then have a role to play on the seed and the seedling and the plant that comes up, and will then manifest into something great because the circumstances were also great. And that brought home soul to me so clear
Yep.
that I'm now having a new era
It's fun to think of it that way.
in
You
creativity,
know,
you know.
thought the
Yes,
things you plant that seed into the soil of, absolutely, you tell the law what it is that you want.
that's right.
So you're planting the seed in that idea, and your belief is what then, creates that demonstration. So we've created the mold for what we want through our thoughts.
That's right.
And the more that we realize that, the more we can choose only thoughts we want. We can
Yes.
spend time in what we choose. And one of the gifts of classes is hearing stories from different people, because every person has a different perspective, and we get to see through other people's eyes, and they honor us with their life story and what's their experiences. So if you're not taking classes, I encourage you, take some classes. And this network is starting something new.
Mm-hmm.
Very excited, on that we're going to be teaching even accredited classes on the
Okay.
network.
Okay.
And it's a virtual classrooms and stuff like that. So there's all kinds of new stuff coming out, and it's very exciting. And I encourage people, take part, because we're always growing. It doesn't matter what age you are. If
Mm-hmm.
there's one thing about New Thought, it keeps you young.
Yes.
So really, it's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
One of the people, actually a couple of the people in our class are 80 and living well, So
Yes.
it's really being in that place of knowing that there is no number that determines how we are. It's just
Yes.
choice.
Yes.
So it has been a pleasure, and the time has flown by. And I just want to
Oh,
ask you any
yes.
final words.
It's a wish, really, if I could put it into final words, that not only here in Barbados and the Caribbean, but worldwide, I would be so happy to see more people getting to know this teaching, this philosophy, so that lives can be changed for the better, so that interactions would be more productive, more profitable, mutually profitable, and that we can have a much better world. I use three stations, I call them, in life. That's love, peace, and unity. And if I could see those three stations manifested in this world, I would be so happy, so happy across the world. Thank you so much, Reverend Gina, for
Thank you. And
inviting me. It was
Zoe
certainly
said,
a pleasure sharing with you here this afternoon.
yes, thank you for being here. You'll definitely have to come back. Zoe said he thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. He's a wonderful practitioner that is part of this wonderful network.
Okay.
Thank you, Zoe. And he actually has his own show as well. He has
Okay.
this, Choice Your Creative Superpower is his show. So
Okay.
thank you, Zoe, for being with us throughout this. And this is, again, I just want to say, this is Ken's email address. It's consultsken@hotmail.com. You can reach out to him and he will get back to you, or you can reach out to me as well. You can email me at gina@cslboston.org. Actually, sorry about that. It's gina@cslboston.org or gina@believeinouttoday.com. And I would love to hear any comments, questions, or anything that you may have. Know that we are a network that is here for you. Please, if you've been blessed by what you've learned, know that we are here because of and are able to do the things that we do because of people just like you. So I encourage people to, circulate the good and, be here where we are. So thank you for being in here with us, raising the joy. Kenny, thank you for being part of that
Thank you too.
conversation. And I thank all of you for watching. May you have that joyous and blessed week. And we're going into a holiday weekend. Yes, be safe, be the love you wish to see, and have fun. So blessings and love. Namaste.
Thank you.
On behalf of everyone at New Thought Media Network, thank you for being a member of our virtual family. Your financial contributions help share the New Thought message with people from around the world. Please visit and contribute at www.ntmedia.org/donate. New Thought Media Network. Come be you.